we've got our guest on here, so I'll let you introduce him, and I'll hit the button. We'll get the mic on, and go for it, Brother Bear. Introduce Brother Phil.
All right. Okay,
hi there, brother.
So, coming online right. Is this Brother Phil?
Hi there, my dear Phil.
Yeah, okay, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chief Phil Lane of the Four Worlds International Group, if I have that correct. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I haven't had a chance really to get to know much about you other than you're an incredible person that's doing a lot to help the peoples of the world. So I would like to go ahead and have you introduce yourself, if that's possible, Phil.
Sure. Well, Misaki, my very respected and beloved relatives, I want to give each of you a warm handshake and say it's really a great honor to get a chance to share a little bit. You know, I'll tell you, through the miracles of this internet and the everywhere spirit that was prophesied so clearly by our elders, the Hopis, Navajos, and I personally was there in 1975 when this pre-elder told us exactly what was going to happen and what we're doing today. Anyway, as it would be, on the way to Harrison Hot Springs, where I'm going to be meeting this evening with relatives from the various indigenous organizations here in the lower mainland of British Columbia, I got caught in a traffic jam. And so traffic was lined up. My wife said, well, we're not going to get there in time to hook up at the hotel. So now here's the miracle of the day we're living in. So I saw a Starbucks, and I knew Starbucks had, internet connection. Went to Starbucks, it was packed. And so I turned my computer on. I used my Skype phone. For some reason, my Skype Direct wouldn't connect. And I went into the bathroom. So if you can imagine, I'm sitting in the bathroom of a Starbucks somewhere, calling into this program. I had to kind of chuckle of how in the world of this world we're living. I got a chance to hear what you're visiting about, and I'm going to be very brief and with the hope that we can visit again where I'm not under these kinds of conditions. But just a little brief background about me. I was born at the Haskell Indian School in Lawrence, Kansas, where my mother and father were sent to school during that time when a lot of the children of indigenous leadership were sent to Carlisle and Haskell. My father's Yankton Sioux, but born on the Standing Rock because that's where my grandmother was at the time. My mother's Chickasaw from Oklahoma, so I'm a Yankton Sioux, Ohlone, Dakota, and Chickasaw. Both sides of my family have been very, very involved throughout the generations and doing the best we could to serve the people. So I've had that side of my family to kind of inspire and encourage me. Beginning back in the spring of 1967, I had quite a spiritual awakening or a spiritual experience. And we have many, many of those during our lives. We have many times we awaken to new understanding, but that had to be a dramatic one for me. And since that time, I've done the best I can to serve the people, and that's taken me down through Latin America and through the Pacific Islands, Southeast Asia, China, working with relatives from Africa, spending time visiting there in Europe, and particularly in the Netherlands, working there with the Berber young people and others. So our whole work is really based on what we call the fourth way. That is very clear that assimilation has not worked, whether it's been during the last 500 years or any time in history. Assimilating people, taking away their identity, destroying their cultures. This doesn't work. We also believe that resignation, giving up, falling into alcoholism and drug abuse, falling into hopelessness, That's not a path that's going to take us where we need to go. Nor is conflict. That doesn't mean, by the way, that we shouldn't be able to protect our families and protect and have self-defense. We're not saying that. But conflict is what we see happening in the world, this adversarial system that we're living in, that we see collapsing everywhere around us. But rather, that path we call the fourth way, that path of healing, that path of reconciliation, that path of acceptance, that path that has been prophesied and foretold by our elders and spiritual leaders from all tribes and nations, the time when the human family would recognize its oneness, would recognize its common foundation, source, as well as its common destiny. And so from our perspective, from Four Worlds International Institute's perspective and our Elders Council and those relatives we work with in the human family, that's our position. That doesn't mean, by the way, that we don't honor and respect everybody's way to pray. I don't think there's any wrong way to pray. There's many different interpretations of spiritual things, just as well as there's many different members of the human family. Because if something's it's eternal. It's eternal, it has infinite meaning. So, that's why I think that this incredible gift we have with this Blog Talk Radio, where we have so many relatives sharing their voice, sharing their vision, sharing their values, sharing their guiding principles, sharing how they see things, sharing what's unfolding in the Gulf of Mexico that we're not hearing from the mainstream press, sharing issues that have been covered up, how important these are. And so I really want to wish you a wonderful, wonderful beginning here of this new program on Bare Truth. And I look forward to having you where I can have a real good interactive visit. It's very difficult for me to hear in this
understood.
But I'm here.
Brother Phil.
Here, so I'm here.
Brother Phil, this is Michael. I know that this is amazing. I've never had a chief or even a friend call me from Starbucks bathroom before. But that's the light note. I know your connection could end at any time. I'm requesting of you something very special. We've spoken about the Gulf. I know your heart and all the heart of the First Nation of all North America with the Gulf of Mexico and the harm and such. Before we lose a connection, can I request that you make a prayer for Mother Earth of what's going on now?
Well, probably this will be the first time there's been a Dakota Chickasaw prayer made in this particular bathroom of Starbucks. But since we need to become free and severed from all save the Creator, and since, Black Elk said something very profound, if you think about it on and on, it takes you so many places. He said, the center of the universe is everywhere. The center of the universe is everywhere. And so if we open our hearts and minds, close down, we come together, we know we're in that secret place. And I'll say this prayer because I know people are waiting outside. I can hear them knocking on the door, wondering what's going on. This guy's inside talking to himself inside the bathroom here. But we have to also be able to have a few laughs here in life, enjoy. That's what the purpose of this life is, to learn to become happy and joyful beings. So I'll just offer this prayer with the prayer also that QuietBear, I'd love to get a chance, invite me please again where we can really sit and have a visit. Michael, we'll get a chance, brother, to have a good visit. And this issue on the Gulf is very, very important. I was with a good brother, Teokson Lost Horse today, who broadcasts out of New York. I'm going to join him again next Thursday for 20 more minutes, where we begin to touch on some of this research you've done, Michael, and others that we've received from Deborah and others, relatives of what's going on down there. So I say this prayer, and then I'm going to close off and finish my drive to my meeting tonight. And I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to dialogue back and forth, which I really enjoy having a visit rather than having a one-way conversation. To be honest with you, I can't hear too well in here, so we'll just leave it like that. O Tunkashla, Pilamakashla, Chante, Washtail, O Tunkashla, Wayanki, Tunkashla, Yate, Kila, Wakon, the Kashla, Nikila, Wakon, the Kashla, Page, Yuta, Wakon, the Kashla, Wakanka, Creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate, ever forgiving one, most tender one, ever healing one. We call upon your holy power. And all those beloved ones who have passed the spiritual world, and those that are coming from the world of light into this light, to join us in heart and mind as we focus on a vision beyond all this hurt and pain, and especially blessing those relatives of the Gulf of Mexico. We call upon all those tribes and nations to east where comes the red sunrise to come together in unity and harmony. We send our healing love and kindness and compassion, QuietBear's program, Michael's work, Deborah's work, all the relatives' work. We call upon all the tribes and nations of the South, and where comes new light. We might come together in unity and harmony. Especially we send all our love to that beloved relatives along the Gulf and on down through the Americas. And in Kasha, we call upon all those tribes and nations of the West, from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain. We ask those spiritual powers of thunder and lightning might awaken the people in a good way. Kasha, we call upon all those tribes and nations of the North, from where comes the white snow. That pure white snow might cleanse and purify our hearts and minds, so we realize each of us is a sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. We call upon all the beauty and power of Father Sky, and help us each to understand what it is to be a good grandfather, a good father, a good son, a good brother, a good friend, a good husband, a good relative. And constantly humble ourselves before our beloved Mother Earth at this time. We ask that we might give thanksgiving for this gift of life we've been given, for our beloved mothers and grandmothers and aunties and sisters, daughters, granddaughters, and for this beloved Mother Earth that might be healed. Hallelujah, Chante, Washlealo, Shamano Hemedo, Shanap, Shimasapa Hemedo, Hallelujah, Chante, Washte. Somebody's knocking on the door. I think it's one of the owners here. Thank you.
Brother Phil, this has got to be the most unusual circumstance I have ever heard on radio, but brother, thank you. Thanks for offering that prayer.
Brother Phil, okay. We'll talk to you again. I promise. You'll be back.
Yes. Okay, I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You bet.
And now I came out, nobody cares, so it must have been a spirit.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Brother Phil.
Okay.
So live from the bathroom Starbucks deep in the heart of British Columbia, Canada, that was Brother Chief Bill Lane. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't know if you can hear me.
We just had the most unique spiritual prayer out of a bathroom at Starbucks, out of a man's heart who just is so much in heart with everybody else about what's going on in the Gulf. Of course, I'm here in the Gulf, and Bear, you're up in the Northwest, up in there, not too far from Brother Phil, but
not too far, really.
For him to turn around at traffic jam and they can't even get to where they're heading. I think they're heading to Vancouver, and just to turn around and stop just to make sure he got on the show. I just consider, whether it was echoey and it sounded like people were banging on the door to get in the bathroom, what got accomplished was important, and that's all I've got to say. And wow, I'm blown away. That was a beautiful offering.
I thought it was incredible. In fact, with what we were just talking about before the break, about how it's your intent. He turned that into a sacred place.
Yes.
And he didn't complain. He just did it. And that's the beauty of people like him, and that anyone can do. You have to make your own place sacred. You make the walk sacred. It's nice to know that Starbucks is good for something.